My name is Dina Paolucci. I'm the manager here in the West Windsor Weichert office. And what we're here to do today is just give you guys a brief overview of what's happening in the market, sort of big picture, and then take it down to a local level so that you guys can make some informed decisions when you're out there buying and selling real estate. The reason that we do this, you know, a lot of people have kind of seen ads for first-time home buyer seminars, right? And so as a company, years and years ago, we started doing those and very quickly realized, you know what, it really doesn't matter if you're a first-time home buyer or a seventh-time home buyer or a seller. Everybody sort of needs the same information. One of the things that home buyers have told us as an industry is the thing that they value most from us, from real estate agents, is help understanding the process of buying and selling real estate. Even more than, you know, finding the right house and choosing a price, picking a price, it's understanding the process because the process has become so complicated. I truly believe, though, that the first step in the process is understanding the market so that you can make informed choices. So what I want to go over with you guys today, and I'll only take at max an hour, depending on questions that you guys have. If you have more questions, we might go a couple of minutes above. If anybody's got to get out of here quick, I can talk really fast if we need to. So, but I'm going to go over what happened, you know, historically, what's been going on in the market, what we anticipate happening in 2013, and then we're going to talk about buying and selling and different strategies and what you need to be looking for if you're a buyer or a seller. Okay? Does that work for everybody? Yeah? You guys are allowed to make noise. So, in the past, what happened? We had this housing boom, right? Everybody's heard of it. The New Jersey version of the housing boom. In 6 years, we saw home values in the state appreciate 109%. For the buyers that are out there, do you guys currently own homes or are you renting?
Renting.
Yeah. Renting? Renting? Okay. For the homeowners out there, did you guys see this appreciation on your homes over the last, you know, between 2000 and 2005? Did anybody sit in their house in 2003 and watch their neighbor's house sell for some sort of crazy price and think, I should be putting a sign on my lawn? All right, I thought it. I thought it. So this is what we saw. We saw home values, on average in the state, appreciating 12 to 15% a year. We had pockets where we had homes appreciating 25% year over year. It was crazy appreciation. And what happened was the first-time home buyer was effectively priced out of the market. Okay? Real estate is, you guys have heard trickle-down economics, right? Real estate's a trickle-up market. It's a bottom-up market. And if the first-time home buyer cannot afford to buy that entry-level condo or townhouse, you know, the condo owner can't sell and then buy into the townhouse. The townhouse then can't sell, buy the starter single family. That Cape can't sell and buy a colonial. The colonial can't buy the McMansion. That means the McMansion can't sell, and they're either downsizing because the kids are gone, or they're getting divorced because they're alone and they can't stand each other without the kids. They can't sell their house so that they can go buy 2 condos. So once that first-time home buyer was out of the market, the whole thing crashed to a halt. I mean, it was just, it was like a light switch was flipped. And, you know, there's this, it really is true. Housing did cause this economic wreck. And we can talk about lending institutions and what they did. And but the reality is, had home values not appreciated like that, we wouldn't have gone through what we went through the last 6 years. Another thing that's actually not on this little kind of timeline of destruction is what else happened in the third quarter 2005, August 2005. Anybody else remember what happened down in the southern part of the U.S.,
Katrina.
Hurricane Katrina. So what we're seeing is these prices have kind of reached an all-time high. The housing slide starts, okay? Buyers start being priced out of the market. Then we saw Hurricane Katrina hit. Investors became very worried about the price of oil. They dumped a lot of inventory onto the market. So you kind of had this perfect storm of disaster. What we saw happen was inventory. This is inventory levels. I'm going to come back to this chart a little bit later. Don't worry about all the different lines. This is a regional chart internally for Weichert. Our region here is represented in this red line. Our inventory levels peaked 2010, 2011, okay? So they were slowly creeping up, and then boom. We just had this enormous spike in inventory at the same time that we had buyers that could no longer afford to buy homes, okay? So then we've got the New Jersey version of the bust, all right? 2006 through 2011, statewide, we saw depreciation in home values. So of that 109% appreciation that we saw the first 6 years, we've given back about 26% to the market. And again, this is statewide. So different pockets, you know, a little bit more, a little bit less. We were quite fortunate in this area right here. Our worst was not nearly as bad as the worst in a lot of places, and we recovered much faster than other places for a few reasons. Where are you guys looking to purchase? West Windsor?
Yeah, around this area.
Right in this area? Cranberry. And the reasons, I'm going to just make a guess, okay? School systems, train, right? Midtown Direct, train. You know, we've got, it's sort of the perfect area. We're the one place in the state where within 1 hour you can be in 2 major metropolitan regions on, you know, on the train. You add to that the universities, the pharmaceuticals, the financial institutions here. We really were protected as much as we could be from the downturn. So this is what's sort of happened over the last 10 years, 12 years. Last year, 2012, affordability really started driving the recovery of the housing market. That depreciation in home values made homes affordable again for first-time home buyers, combined with interest rates, okay? For the homeowners here, what year did you guys buy your first home? Anyone?
2001.
2001? What, do you remember what interest rate you got? 8%. What about you? No?
Probably like 12.
12? I bought my first house in 1987. We bought our first house, and our rate was just under 10%. We were at like 9.99, and we did a happy dance for a month because we were under 10%, all right? Did anybody who is a homeowner here refinance at 5.5% and think, oh my God, right? And then a year and a half later say, seriously, I'm going to refinance again at 4. You know, interest rates, every year we put out this chart, and, you know, last year it stopped at 5. Now we're at 3. They can't go lower. They can't go lower. They go any lower, the bank's going to have to send you a check every month. That's just the way it is. So money is really close to free. You add these low interest rates to the fact that prices have come down and homes have become affordable again. If you look at what happened just over the last, you know, year and what, 5 quarters, we've gone from 475 to 359. And if you look at this tiny little uptick here, I had an agent walk into my office about 3 weeks ago saying, I just had a buyer call me up literally from the side of the road, panicking because they heard rates were going up and inventory was down. And I mean, this is where we're in now. We're in a market where if rates go to 4.2, everybody's going to kind of freak out a little bit because we've gotten used to that low level. So 30-year mortgages, they're talking about rate hikes this year, okay? And you'll get a different opinion depending on who you talk to, whether they might go to 4.5. Some people are estimating as high as 6. I don't think they're going to go to 6. I just don't. I think we still have a lot of questions about what's happening with the sequester. Nobody knows what impact that's going to have yet. I don't think that they're going to do anything with rates that drastic, but I think we are going to see them tick up a little bit. I mean, just overall, there is more pressure on the rates to go up than there is to have them go down. Okay? Go ahead.
Wouldn't they announce upfront when they're going to increase the rate?
Will they what?
Wouldn't they announce upfront when they're going to increase their rate?
I mean, you know, sometimes you get a little bit of notice. Most lenders know, look, you know, tomorrow they're gonna get tweaked a little bit. When they go up, we're not gonna see this huge, it's not gonna go from 4 to 6, right? You know, we'll see these quarter point, 8-point increments creeping up a little bit. What that is gonna do though is going to spur more people to make offers quickly so that they can lock in at that lower rate. You know, a 1% difference in interest rate makes a huge impact on your purchasing power when you go to get a loan, how much you can afford every month. We all shop monthly, right? Monthly payment. So, you know, if you have a feeling that rates are going to jump half a point, a lot of people are going to be more likely to go and buy a house. It's going to be one less piece of inventory on the market for you guys to look at. The Consumer Affordability Index is currently, we're at about 190. Does anybody know what the affordability index means? And if you don't, it's okay. I didn't know what it meant the first time I looked at it. I thought, okay, 194, what does that mean? What it is a measure of affordability, home affordability. An affordability index of 100 means that a person earning the median income countrywide has enough money, enough income to qualify for a mortgage on a median-priced home. So the ratio of their income to the loan that they're going to take out, they just make it. It's perfect. When it's at 194, it means they've got 194% of the income that they need. They have almost twice the income that they need to qualify for a mortgage on a median-priced home. What that means is they can now buy a home higher than they would have purchased when the affordability index was at 100, okay? So this is significant. Through all of the downturn, through unemployment being at 9% or 11%, whoever you listened to, you know, there was still 90% of the population working and earning money and being in a situation where they were able to afford to purchase homes, okay? The spring market is peaking early. If you look at, this is purchase contracts just in New Jersey, state of New Jersey, the year-over-year change. With the exception of October 2011, we have had, 16 months straight of sales outpacing the prior year, all right? And some months significantly, 30% higher, 31% higher, all right? So that's been over a year that's been happening in New Jersey. The other thing that's starting to happen, for those of you who are renting, have your rents gone up yet? Has your rent increased? Okay. Historically, and this goes back to 81, okay, the home price line is red, the rent price is blue. And that's a monthly cost, your rent versus what it costs to own a home. So if you take it to when the market started peaking, 2001, 2002, it was more expensive monthly, much more, to own a home than it was to rent. What has happened now is it has become more expensive to rent every month than it has to own your home. You can now purchase a home and your monthly payment on that home would be less than what your monthly rent would be on that home. What this means is that rental prices are going to continue to rise. What we are seeing in our market, probably for, I want to say, the last 6 months, which we hadn't seen previously, is bidding wars on rentals, if you can believe it. I've got agents working with tenants that they're putting an offer in on a rental at exactly what the landlord is asking for, and finding out the next day there's 2 other people that want it. Everybody's credit is great. Everybody has great income. So the landlord wants to know who's willing to go up $150 a month. And this is going to continue to happen. You guys are like smiling. Have you been in a similar situation?
But we heard some cases.
Yeah, you've heard. I mean, it's it's happening. So buy now, but if you're not going to buy, renew your lease right now, like today. Today, tell your landlord, I know it doesn't expire for 6 months, but let's do a 1 year right now, okay? So 2013, it's March, right? Real estate tends to run in about a 17, 18-year cycle as far as pricing, okay? And this is not home values. This is literally where does it peak, okay? And where does it bottom out? Real estate market peaked in 86, okay? Happy Us bought a house in 87, sold it in 92, took a $40,000 loss, okay? It bottomed out in 96. We peaked again in 2005. That was the peak of the market. Depending on the area, the peak, it was, third, fourth quarter 2005, first, second quarter 2006 in a couple of small pockets, and then dipped from there. We're at the bottom. We're at the bottom in our region, right here in our area in West Windsor. We were at the bottom 9 months ago, 10 months ago. There are a couple of towns surrounding, depending on where you want to be, parts of Hamilton, parts of Ewing, parts of Lawrenceville, Trenton, that are maybe just off from the bottom. They've got a little bit more to go, and then they're going to hit the bottom, okay? It's not going to peak again till 2022, give or take. Are we going to see it peak at the same levels? Are we going to see another 110% appreciation in a 5-6 year period? No, we're not going to see that again. What happened through all of the fiscal cliff legislation? The mortgage insurance, mortgage cancellation relief was extended. The deduction for mortgage insurance premiums, MIP insurance, so that's if you're putting less than 20, sometimes 10% down, you need mortgage insurance. So the deduction for that was extended. 10% tax credit for energy improvements was extended, okay? The exclusion for capital gains on the sale of your home for earners earning more than $450 was extended, and most importantly, mortgage interest deduction was extended. So this was all really good news. Before all of that legislation, there were a lot of people kind of holding off, saying maybe we should wait before we make a move. All of the economic indicators for 2013 are pointing to a much better situation 12 months from now than we were 12 months ago, okay? GDP growth, 2%, about the same as last year. Interest rates, little or no increase short term, and even if they do increase, it's not going to be, like I said, these huge jumps. Inflation, rising a little bit. This is really the only negative on this little list that I'm going to give you guys here. Business spending, 4% gain. Unemployment is still gradually falling, all right? Housing is up 8%. Energy, crude oil, 90, 95, I think last week it ticked up a little bit, but sort of holding steady, okay? And consumers' confidence is rising, how long have you guys been renting for the renters?
8 years.
8 years? Did you think about buying a house before now? Why didn't you, if I can ask?
Because of my job, nature of my job.
The nature of your job uncertainty?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you guys?
No, it was something that we never thought of.
Okay.
To be honest, there was no particular reason that I can pinpoint that this is the reason, but
right.
we just
didn't
go for commitment kind of a thing.
I think a lot of people were very skittish about buying a house, wondering if it was going to drop in value, right? Is this, they weren't confident about, you say the nature of your job. There were a lot of people saying to us, I don't know if I'm going to be laid off in 6 months. We don't know yet if our division is going to be dissolved. We don't know if the contract is going to be renewed. So people kind of backed off. And people are feeling much more secure now in their jobs. They're feeling much more secure with what's going on nationally, okay? So the NAR, National Association of Realtors, projections for 2013. Affordability Index, which was at a record high in November, projecting about 160 for the year, which again means that somebody's got more than 1.5 times what they need to buy a house, all right? Sales, total sales, they're projecting an increase nationally of 8.5%. New home sales, 46% increase. Now guys, this is nationally. Locally, and we're going to talk a little bit about local new homes later on, there's no place left to build here, okay? So we're not going to see this spike in new home lands simply because we're not going to have the new construction, all right? Average sale price, about a 4% increase, 2013, all right? So if we look, though, at really what is happening today, we go back to these listings. A year ago, so February 2012, this was our inventory level, okay? This is where we are February of 2013. Inventory is drastically reduced. It's reduced in all markets, okay? Pending home sales. This was November last year, the number of pending home sales currently, okay? Pending sales. So we've got inventories down, sales are up. Anybody here that have an economics background? What does that mean? Low inventory, high demand.
Demand supply.
Okay? Prices go up, like economics 101. The month's inventory, and we're going to talk a lot about this. This is absorption rate, and I'm going to define it for you and explain it to you guys later. 5 to 6 months supply of inventory in real estate is considered a healthy, normal market. Okay? We went below that last fall. Now it's just, and it's down in every market. So the inventory is there. Now, in the most affordable price points in most markets, whatever that price point is, you know, you have some markets where the lower quarter price point for the market is 100 to 150,000. You've got some areas where the bottom quarter of the market is $600,000 to $800,000. In those lower price points, and also in the most desirable neighborhoods or developments, you're looking at almost no inventory. Almost no inventory. This is just a little demonstration of what happened to absorption rates year over year. January this year versus January last year. We are in this region right here, Joe McDonald's region, and that region spans Mercer County, Somerset County, up to like Warren area. Down here, this is the DC, Virginia, Maryland area. Nothing for sale in Maryland, Virginia. Year over year change in home prices since June of last year increases, okay? The projected change for 2013, regardless of who you talk to, everybody's anticipating home values to increase. Lowest projection, 2 to 3%, which is a normal market. In a normal market, home values appreciate, 2.5% a year, 3.5%. Highest projection, almost 10% a year. And are you going to see 10% appreciation a year? Yes, in some places. Are you going to see 15? Maybe on those one-off, very desirable properties. Are you going to see 0.5% decrease? In some places, you are. This is kind of what's happened over, the last, 25 years before the bubble. So, 87 to 99. Home values annually increased 3.6%, right? This is a normal market, guys. 2000 to 2006, annually, 10% on average. During the downturn, lost 5.5% a year. What they're projecting for the next 5 years is back to that normal appreciation. Okay? So what we're looking at this spring, inventory down, we are seeing multiple offers on most of the properties that go under contract. The homes that sell, they're selling with multiple offers. What that means for the buyers out there is when you see a house you love, you're probably not the only one that loves it, and you've got competition. And for every house that sells, there's 2 or 3 other people that are not moving into that home that are still out there looking, okay? Homes are selling fast. The popular neighborhoods, the popular price points. And, you know, very intentionally I said popular price points as opposed to lowest price points. Because while it's typically true that the lower price point in any community moves faster, there are some areas where that's not, the lower price point is not the most popular price point. And we'll talk a little bit about that later as well. So, anybody questions on the projections? Do you guys believe it? What do you think? What is your instinct? Yeah? Yeah. I mean, you know, we've been seeing this in the news over and over and over and over. Finally, after all years of doom and gloom. So we talked a little bit about new construction, what's happening with new construction, nationally, but locally. These are new housing permits, okay? From, this is 2000 to 2009, so the number 10 here is 2009 because I really am not that great at Excel and charts and stuff, so it was put it up like this or spend another 20 minutes banging my head against the wall. So in 2008, there were 325 single-family home building permits countywide. 2009, 178. You take it, jump forward to 2012, okay? Single-family housing permits, 112 last year, all right? Building permits are decreasing. They're going to continue to decrease. The projection from the Department of Labor of housing demand countywide is only going up. What that means is that existing inventory, okay, resale homes, not new construction, is what is going to sell, simply because you have to live someplace, right? I mean, if there's no new construction, you have to buy the one that was built previously. So this is truly spurring our market here, because those were the homes that couldn't sell. You know, when the Estates at Princeton Junction was being built, that's where everybody wanted to live. There's not going to be another Estates at Princeton Junction. There's not going to be, well, I can't say there's not going to be another town center in Robbinsville, because across the street they did just get approval to build a few more units there. But we're not going to see it countywide the way we saw it from 2000 on, okay? So why is this happening, all right? Job market's improved, yes? Has everybody felt that? Does everybody know people that were unemployed that are finally now employed, you know? The fiscal cliff, over. Sequestration, like, I think nobody really knows what's going on with it yet, so consumer affordability is higher, okay? You know, this post-election pent-up demand, so much of economics, I think, is psychological, right? It really is. And everybody was kind of, what's it going to mean with the election? Hey, if he wins, if the other one wins, if this one wins. There's only so long you can wait before you just have to get on with your life, regardless of who's in the White House or who's in Congress or who's wherever. So I think we've seen a lot of that. Low interest rates, obviously. Industry news. Just overall, we had years and years of headlines saying, you know, nobody's ever going to buy a house ever again, and if you buy a house, you might as well just burn your money in the street, and we're not seeing that, and we haven't been seeing it for a while. And, you know, I think maybe a lot of people thought the world was going to end, and it didn't. But, you know, this is, somebody was asking me just the other day about the sequestration, and what do you think that's going to do? And I think, and I might be alone in this, I'm tired of everything that happens is a crisis. And I think a lot of people have been, they're tired of being scared by everything. And, you know, the fiscal cliff, everything was supposed to explode and we were all going to be living in tents. And you know what? It didn't happen. And the election, if your guy didn't win, we were all going to be living in tents, and it didn't happen. And so now we have the sequestration, and people are going, you know what? I can only operate at an anxiety level up here for so long. Eventually, I just have to do what I need to do for my family and move on. Again, we're seeing the headlines. This is all just from last month. It's becoming a seller's market. Home prices, strongest performance in 7 years. Lawrence Yun is the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors. So last month, unsold listing inventory is the lowest level that it's been in 12 years. 12 years, okay? Buyer traffic is 40% higher than it was a year ago. Housing inventory fell almost 5% at the end of January. It's a 4.2 month supply, which is the lowest housing supply since 2005. Okay? You know, it's just the people who a year ago were saying it might be a good time to buy real estate are now saying you have to go buy a house. You have to go buy a house. For a lot of people, this change happened very quickly, though. And, you know, there's a little bit of a whiplash that you get when all of a sudden you jump off of a screaming buyer's market. Where as a buyer, you could go out on a Saturday and see 40 homes and not even scratch the surface. And as a buyer, you could walk in and say, well, you know what? I don't really like the red paint on that wall, therefore, I'll look for one that's perfect. And it almost feels for a lot of people like overnight that switched to, what do you mean there's nothing for me to look at? So it really does take a little mental shift here for a lot of people to get on board with this. So when you want to look at what's going on in the real estate market, there are 5 things that you need to remember. Okay? Very first rule is that real estate's local. Okay? Real estate is local. Second rule, real estate's local. That's the second rule. Third rule, who wants to guess 4? Nobody? Real estate's local, real estate's local. It does not matter what's happening in Detroit. It doesn't matter what's happening in Manhattan. Sometimes it doesn't matter what's happening on the other side of the street. It matters what's happening for the house that you're interested in buying, and it matters what's happening for the house that you're thinking of selling, okay? So bringing it down now to the local level, if you look at just Mercer County, okay? So this is 4th quarter, 2012. If you look at the year-over-year change, 4th quarter 2010, 2011 to 2012, the inventory of homes for sale is down almost 25%, 23.2%, right? If you look at the actual sales that are taking place, sales are up almost 10%. So that's Mercer County, countywide, right? If you look at all the key metrics for the county, median sales price up 8%, average sale price up 4%. Original, the list price to sale price ratio is up 2.5%. The only thing down are the number of homes for sale, the month's supply of homes, okay? Closed sales up 9.2. The only other thing that's down is how long it takes to sell a house. So homes are selling quicker, more homes are being sold, and there's fewer of them for sale. It's just reality. So in order to understand the market that you're buying into or that you're selling out of, you need to look at it from a lot of different angles. You need to look at the inventory, the location, the sales patterns in that area, the type of home, because you know you can have a neighborhood that's got colonials and capes and split levels, and one of them will sell faster and at a higher price than another. So the type of home matters as well. Okay. So I talked quite a bit about months' supply of inventory, and I use the term absorption rate. An absorption rate is sort of the number that we live and die on in the real estate industry. It's what we analyze to death. My agents who are here know this is every week we're looking at our sales meetings at the absorption rates. When you have a 5 to 6 month absorption rate, it's considered a normal market. There's enough inventory for the amount of demand, everything's sort of steady, okay? When your absorption rate is higher than 6, it's in a buyer's market. Got higher inventory, lower demand, okay? Less than 5 months is a seller's market. Low inventory, high demand, okay? You're going to see closer to normal appreciation because the market does need to adjust a little bit, okay? So I don't want you to kind of freak out when I show you some of these low absorption rates and think, oh my God, prices are going up 20% this year, all right? Because they won't. So if we look at, this is last Tuesday, okay? As I said, on our sales meetings, every Tuesday, my agents get all this information. And we look at every town that we're doing business in, and we break it down. So currently in West Windsor, our absorption rate is 2.4 months, okay? For single-family homes, it's 2.7. For the 55-plus market, it's 4 months. For condos and townhouses, it's 1.1 month absorption rate, all right? Lawrenceville. So, and this is where you can see real estate's local, okay? Lawrenceville's got a 12-month absorption rate. Their condo townhouse market is running at normal absorption rates. Single-family homes, you're almost at 20, which is buyer's market. Okay. Plainsboro, 4 months overall, 3 months in the condo townhouse. Cranberry, 4.3 months. So, Cranberry, we haven't seen numbers like this in Cranberry in years. Cranberry, it's a very small market, okay? Very small market for Cranberry Borough. So 1 or 2 sales really can have a huge impact on the numbers. But we were going 6, 7 months where there was no sale. No sale, nothing in Cranberry. Ewing, again, you know, some of the markets, the 55-plus market in Ewing, very small, so 1 or 2 sales makes a huge impact when you do the math. East Windsor, okay, 6 months. East Windsor is another town that didn't move for years, and we were seeing absorption rates of 30 months, 40 months. And I want to say for the last 6 months, they've been in the normal range, all right? Hopewell Township, 1.6 months in the condo townhouse market. So again, if you notice, condo townhouse always tends to move faster. It's the first-time home buyer who's back in the market. Hamilton, larger 55-plus community, which is actually moving. Robbinsville, 3 months on condo townhouses, 10 months on single families. Hightstown Borough, 17 months. Pennington, Hopewell Borough, 9 months. Princeton, 7.8 across the board. Okay. South Brunswick. South Brunswick, and I'm going to give you a little bit more detail on South Brunswick, because if you look at, 11 months overall, 9 months in the condo townhouse market, it really looks like, well, okay, it's still a buyer's market. Prices need to come down a little bit. And they do in some places. There are other places where it is a seller's market. Okay. Montgomery, on fire. Hillsborough, on fire. Okay. Hillsborough is on fire. So, to understand the market that you're buying in or that you're selling in, we have these overall numbers, but that's the whole market. And as I said, a lot of times it matters not just the town, but what street you're on and what development you're on and or what product you're buying, right? So again, if we look at how we calculate absorption rate, active divided by what's under contract gives us our absorption rate, okay? Currently, and this is as of 5 a.m. this morning, all right? Single-family homes in West Windsor in the 600 to 800 price range. There are 22 on the market, 10 under contract. We have a 2.2 months absorption rate, okay? And this is where I was speaking about, if you look at West Windsor under 550, the absorption rate's higher, okay? For single-family homes in West Windsor, that is the lower price point. But there are also the older homes, the homes that are 6, 7, 8, 900 tend to be newer. And by newer, I'm still not talking about 5 years. I'm talking about, 20 as opposed to 40 years old. But it's a more desirable price point in this town than the lower price point. So that tends to move a little bit quicker, okay? West Windsor condo townhouses under 1 month inventory, okay? 7 current listings, 8 of them sold, 8 sold in the last. So we've had negative inventory accumulation, right? The inventory has not increased month over month. It's decreased month over month. Sales have increased, all right? Anybody looking for a condo townhouse in West Windsor? Yes? No? No? Okay. If you know anybody, tell them to just make the offer, okay? Robbinsville, 3 months absorption rate in the condo townhouse market. So South Brunswick, condo townhouses, 6.2 months, all right? Which is better than what the overall absorption rate was of 9 months. And again, this is of this morning. The other chart was Tuesday, all right? If you look at condo townhouses in Princeton Walk, who knows, does anybody know the Princeton Walk development? 1 month absorption rate, okay? So it really does matter where you're buying a home, where you want to be. Plainsboro, townhouse market, not condos, just townhouses, 3 months absorption rate, all right? So what that means for you, right? Has anybody thought this? Right? Because, I mean, all the news is good, but guys, we've been beat up for years, and you've watched prices go down, go down, go down. We've seen, like I said, it doesn't matter what's happening in Detroit, but we've all seen the pictures of Detroit. So I don't think you're human if you're not feeling this when you buy a house, right? Let's look at, okay, I threw this in here. This little real estate cartoon says, as first offers are usually unrealistic, I'd prefer if you submit your second offer first. Okay? Because what buyers have been doing for the last 5 years is, I'm going to go in low. I'm going to go in low. We're going to negotiate. I will come up in price. We're in a market now where if you go in low, there's 4 other people that have already made an offer on that property. And when the seller sits down to negotiate them, they're looking at who's serious, who's educated about the market, who knows what the value is. They're not going to negotiate with somebody who they think is just trying to get a deal. And I think most people who go in low, I know this because you guys tell us, we're willing to go higher. What we're telling you here is go higher in the beginning. You have a more likely chance of getting a home at a price that you're comfortable with, okay? But let's assume you're going to buy in an area that might continue to drop in price a little bit, okay? $329,000 home. Let's say you do an FHA loan, so you only have to put 3.5% down, okay? If the home value drops 3%, okay, this is extraordinarily conservative. If the home value drops 3% next year, your second year in the home, you see 0 appreciation. And then you slowly start to creep up in price, right? Over the next 5 years, your home will still have appreciated about $20,000. Now, for those of you thinking of buying, is anybody here thinking of buying and then selling it in a year? No, right? I mean, look, we live in our homes. That's the one of all the investments that you can make, even when the investment in your home decreases in value, you still get to live in it. You can't live in your stocks and bonds and all that other stuff. In addition to that, you've got your tax benefit, but what are you paying in rent, okay? What are you paying in rent? If $1,600 a month over 5 years, you're handing somebody else about $100,000 over the next 5 years. So if you assume a little bit of a decrease next year, that's the situation you're going to be in. More realistic is that your home value is going to appreciate over the next 5 years. That's a much more realistic view, okay? So you're seeing the appreciation in your home. You're not handing your landlord $100,000. Pay yourself, So again, when we look at that normal market, there's also this mentality. You know, look, I bought and sell 5 houses before I started selling real estate, and I thought all this too. I'm going to time the market. I'm going to buy when there's a lot of inventory and nobody else is looking. Or I'm going to sell when everybody's looking and nobody else is for sale, right? The problem is it never really works out that way. And I know this is kind of hard to read, but if you look at, this is the year, December through January last year. These are the number of homes listed. So listings peaked in April and March, okay? March and April, 600 listings. These are the units sold. These are the units that went under contract. The under contract peaks right at the same time, all right? The buyers are out there at the same time that the inventory is out there, and the ratio of buyers to inventory tends to stay the same.
Can I digress for a second?
Yeah, please.
You mentioned about going in higher. Why would I want to go in higher?
Go in higher on a
Buying?
when you're buying. Why would you want to make a higher offer than what you might originally think?
Yeah.
If you go in way low off of their list price,
Okay,
you know, I mean, this is not a market where you can go and make an offer that's 10% under list if the home is priced appropriately, okay? You're always going to have those one-off situations where you have an extraordinarily unrealistic seller who thinks they're going to get 20% more for their house because whatever, because the neighbor got it 5 years ago, okay?
which means I have to do my homework.
Which means you have to do your homework, okay? You have to do your homework. So, you know, the buyers are out there, listing inventory peaks, same time sales peak, which means that, you know, again, your buyers are going to be out there when the inventory is the highest, you're going to have the highest amount of buyers. When the inventory is at its lowest, you still have buyers proportionate to the number of listings that are out there. So timing your purchase, you know, the best time, everybody says, what's the best time to sell a house? What's the best time to buy a house? Who thinks they know? Anyone?
Best time to sell is when you got an offer in hand.
Well, but I mean, the best time to sell your house is when you need to move on. And the best time to buy a house is when you need to buy a house, you know? You're always going to be able to get your home at a fair market value in most cases, okay? We also hear this a lot. You know, if it's a home that's overpriced, that we know is overpriced, a lot of times buyers think, I'll wait till the price comes down further, and then I'll make an offer. A lot of sellers also think, well, you know what, if I'm willing to take less, but I'm going to wait until I get an offer before I negotiate price. I don't want to list my house lower, I'll wait. So reality is, if we look at everything that goes under contract in the area, and I just threw a couple of these because, you know, I could do the whole county, but it's always the same. It always runs about 75%. 75% of the homes that sell within the first 30 days of listing or within the first 30 days of a price adjustment, okay? So what that means is, you know, when you look at price adjustments, if a home is truly priced way too high for a market, they're essentially not even for sale, right? If you walk into Macy's and there's a pair of Levi's for, you know, $50 and there's a pair of Levi's for $400, that pair of Levi's isn't really for sale. Nobody's going to buy it at $400. When they drop the price to $55, then it's on the market, because now somebody will potentially buy it. Once the price is in line, the homes sell, 3/4 of them across the board, within 30 days, okay? What that means for sellers is, if your house isn't priced right, and it hasn't sold in the last 30 days, it's highly unlikely you're going to sell in the next 30 days, okay? For buyers, if the house that you love is overpriced, okay, if you wait until they bring their price in line with the market, you will have competition, because you're not the only one waiting for it. So you know, just make up some numbers. You've got a house out there that's listed at 500, and it probably should be listed at 475, okay? And you're thinking, well, I'll wait till they bring it down. You know, I'd be willing to pay 470 for it, 465, but there's no way I'm going to go in now and make an offer at 465 because, you know, let us go in now and negotiate for you based on what's really going on in the market when you're the only one there. Otherwise, they come down to 475. You go in and you make your offer at 465, but there's two other people that have already come in. One's at 470, the other one's at 475. And the seller says to you, they counter at 480. You end up paying more because you waited for the price to go lower, okay? So, pop quiz for you guys. $200,000 mortgage, 30-year fixed mortgage, $200,000. What's your monthly payment? Is it $1,900, $1,640, $1,200, or $944? What's your monthly payment, principal and interest, on 30-year fixed $200,000 loan? It's $944. $944. I mean, think about that. Are you guys paying more than $900 a month in rent? Right? Okay? If you're living anywhere here, you are. You are. How much does the average buyer need for a down payment? Anyone? Yes?
3.5.
3.5. Look at that. I didn't even have it up there yet, and he knew. 3.5. Okay? Can you still do 100% financing with zero down in some cases? Yeah, VA loans, yes. You've got to have some serious credentials to do that. You know, the standards now for lending are not essentially, do you have a pulse? But 3.5 FHA financing. So if those of you who are out there buying have not already established your buying power, okay, very important, because if you're out there looking, you might have gone online, done the little mortgage calculator, think this is what we can afford per month. But you really need to know there are so many different loan products that are still available for you. If you're working with a sales agent, ask them to connect you with our Gold Services Manager. They can give you all the different options. They can get you mortgage pre-approval, which is very different from mortgage pre-qualification, and you really can't make an offer on a home without mortgage pre-approval, okay? So, negotiating the best price for your home. Sellers, okay? And this applies to buyers too. There's a couple of things that you need to do. Really little letters up here. It says all negotiations, including real estate, are all about leverage and control, right? A lot of sellers, what they think is, I need to build negotiating room into my price. Okay? I need to list it higher so that I have room to negotiate. You don't really need negotiating room. You need negotiating leverage. It's the same thing with buyers. When you're making an offer, a lot of buyers think I have to go in low because that gives me room to negotiate in the price. You have to go in with leverage. And part of that is the price. So, the listing price is part of the leverage. Your offer price is part of the leverage, okay? If you price your home right from the beginning, okay, you're going to get buyer interest and agent interest, which is very important, because if an agent doesn't think your home is priced right or is marketable, it's very unlikely that you're going to get buyers in there, okay? It generates more viewings, and we know that we need to see about 30 showings of a home before you generate an offer in a typical normal market. Right now, it's happening faster. We need fewer homes. It does create a sense of urgency on the part of buyers. I mean, you know, reality is if you've got, who's been, you know, in Toys R Us, who's got little kids? Mine are older now, but mine are 21 and 25. When they were little, it was Power Rangers, okay? They were all about the Power Rangers. Christmas Eve one year, I'm in Toys R Us on my knees, digging through for some Power Rangers white something or other, saying, am I really doing this? But there was that sense of urgency. If we don't get it now, somebody else will, okay? It sets you up for multiple offers if you're priced right, okay? Your purchase price tends to be, your sale price tends to be higher if you price it right the first time than if you have to take price reductions, okay? And you're likely to sell shorter for a higher price, okay? The effects of overpricing, okay? Reality is, if you've been on the market too long because you're overpriced, you end up selling at a lower price. The mentality of the buyers is, why is that house on the market 200 days? What's wrong with it? Price reductions, you're giving control to the buyer in that situation, which is what we talked about earlier. If there's a home that's overpriced, you go in and make an offer, let your agent fight for you based on the current market conditions, okay? It encourages lowball offers if you're overpriced, okay? It attracts bottom feeders and leads to a lower selling price. So, where's Stan? Stan's he's answering phones in the office. Stan, one of my agents, listed this house last year in Princeton, and I'm involved in most pricing on our listings, and the price trend analysis that we do came up with a price of $709. That was pretty much what the house would probably sell for, okay? Our recommendation, and my recommendation to the homeowner and to Stan, was price it at $649, okay? And the homeowner listened, and they priced it at $649. And what happened when this house was priced at $649 was I got a phone, before I managed, I sold in the out of Princeton. So I know a lot of the agents there, and they know I'm the manager here, and it hit the MLS and Broker Tour. Does anybody know what Broker Tour is? When homes go on the market, typically in the first day or two, the listing agent holds an open house just for other real estate agents, so that all the real estate agents in the area can come see the home. That way they know and they can sell it to their clients. So Broker Tour happened, and I got about 4 phone calls from agents in Princeton saying, Dina, you guys underpriced that house. Like, great, that's insane. That should be $425. They'll get or $725. They'll get $700 for it. I said, you know. They had, this has 5 offers. It actually was 8 offers. They had 8 offers in the first week. Okay, they sold for $741. They closed for $741. 8 offers first week. So this is where I'm saying you can't go in low. Okay. The 8 offers that came in, some of them were $620, okay? About 3 or 4 of them were right at about $700, and a couple of them were higher. There was one that was $750 that we just didn't take. It wasn't the right offer because there's more than price when you're looking at an offer. There's financing terms and things like that. But you know, the market, it's almost like an eBay kind of thing, you know, the market's going to rise to where the market is. And if you've got an agent telling you a house is a steal, you got to listen. You got to listen, because the agents that went in with their buyers, those 8 agents, said, guys, this should be listed at $725. They didn't. They listed it at $650. So you cannot make an offer under $700 on this. And that's what happened. And the seller sold their home quickly, and they got $741 for it. Had they gone on the market at $725, it probably would have taken 3 months to sell, and they probably would have sold around $700, maybe about $700, and they would have been happy, you know. So, overpricing means it's impossible for that to happen. Has anybody heard of a CMA, comparative market analysis? Okay, industry-wide. Real estate agents use what's called a CMA, comparative market analysis, to price homes. And the way that we generate a CMA is very simple. You go into the MLS, and you pull up the listings that you think are comparative to the home. And you check off which ones compare to the home. And it prints out a little report that says the average sale price was this, and the average, days on market was that. We don't do that here at Weichert. We do what's called the price trend analysis. It factors in the absorption rate, so it's applying appreciation and depreciation, and it's factoring in days on market. and it gives you a trend of where pricing is going, not where it was 6 months ago. So when you're thinking of selling your home, let your agent do a price trend analysis. When you find the house that you like, that you want, have your agent do a price trend analysis for it so that you kind of know where the home price is going, all right? If you're in a market that's appreciating and you're competing, you might have to go and offer the price that that home would be 3 months from now instead of today, okay? But it'll give you that sense that it's okay to do that. The second thing when you're selling your home, staging. Okay, has everybody heard of staging? Everybody watches HGTV? It doesn't take 22 minutes to sell a house, okay? You go look at 3, you love 1, you go in, you do the inspections, everything's fine, 20 minutes later you move in. Doesn't work that way, okay? So staging, again, this is about being in control when you're selling your house. It's preparing your house for sale, regardless of what price point it's at or where it is. So a non-staged home, right? Actually looks pretty good. If my kitchen looked like this every day, I'd be happy. Come on in. Yeah, come on in. We can get you. There you go.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So unstaged. This is staged. You see the difference? It's that walking in and going, I could live here, you know? It's the house that has, you open up the closets and everything's nice and neat and organized and there's room. And mentally it makes you think, well, if I live here, I will be this organized too, and I won't have to, and you won't, but that's okay. So the reality is that whatever you invest in home staging will be less than your first price reduction if you do not stage your home. So if it costs a couple of grand to spruce up a room and move things around a little bit, if you don't do that, you're going to end up dropping your price more than that, okay? Stage the house. So again, a non-staged room, it's a bedroom. Somebody's using it as an office, right? Okay? Stage it. Put the bed in there. Make it look like a room somebody could use. Buyers, if you see a house that is staged that you walk into, has anybody gone to like new homes, the models, the showrooms, and you walk in and everything's all nice and, you know, you just get that nice feeling? If you see a home that's staged like that and it makes you feel that way, it's going to make other people feel that way too. Put the offer in, okay? Average increase in sale price on a staged home versus unstaged home is almost 7%, all right? So, home improvements. Home improvements. I put 80 grand into my kitchen, therefore I should get 120 grand more for my house, okay? No, doesn't work that way. There's no way you can read this, okay? But when you get a copy of the presentation, you can read it. The cost you recoup, okay, is, let's see, Middle Atlantic, here you go. The maximum you are going to recoup on any home improvement is your siding. If you change your siding, 70%, okay? So you really can't anticipate any improvements that you make that you're going to get paid for them. What you can, where you get paid for them is in decreased selling time. You sell faster, okay? Conversely, buyers, if you're looking at a house that's had some improvements done versus a house that hasn't had some improvements done, you're buying that improvement at a 30% discount, okay? You're buying it, you know, it's like a car, right? You drive it off the lot, it might have 25 miles on it, but it just lost 30% in value. Okay? If you see a home with improvements, buy that one. You're buying the improvements at 30, sometimes 50% off what you could make them for. Okay? Home inspection, pre-inspection. Everybody's heard about home inspection, right? Mm-hmm. So what is pre-inspection? Pre-inspection is simple. It's the seller doing a home inspection prior to putting their home on the market. Depending on the home inspector they use, the protection, the guarantee that the home inspector gives the seller, the person that purchased the home inspection, will carry over to the buyer. In some cases it doesn't, okay? But as a seller, you know, you're thinking, doesn't the buyer do the inspection? And yes, they are going to do a home inspection in most cases. But if you've done one already, and you fixed everything that they found on it, there's that much less for the home buyer's home inspector to find. They will find something, because there's always something. You know, a GFI outlet doesn't work. But it puts you in a little bit more control. You mitigate the cost of the repairs. You don't run the risk of a deal falling apart over home inspection issues, okay? Home protection plan. Has anybody heard of a home protection plan? Okay? Weichert Home Protection Plan for sellers, if you're going to offer one to your buyer, you're covered from the day that you list your home. Your home is covered under that home protection plan. For buyers, if a seller is offering a home warranty, you're getting a full year warranty protection on all the systems and appliances in your home, okay? I said if it's a Weichert Home Protection Plan, all of your appliances are covered. Some brokers offer a home protection plan and the washer, dryer, refrigerator are not covered. I know this because 2 years ago my brother and sister-in-law bought a house and received a home warranty from the seller, but it was a different brokerage. 3 months later, the washing machine went, and my brother calls me up because it wasn't covered. I'm like, you're kidding. So if the seller is offering a home warranty, ask that it be a Weichert home warranty. It gets you that much more coverage, okay? You know, all of these little things are what a seller is going to do to make them in control of the negotiation when they list their home. If their home is priced right, it looks perfect, all the repairs are done, they're going to be able to sit back and say to you guys as buyers, give me my price. I did everything I was supposed to do. If it's not, if that stuff isn't in place, you guys are going to be able to step up to the sellers and say, hey guys, your price is a little bit out of line, there's all this work that needs to be done, you have to work with us on price. So it's very important to know what it is that you're looking at, okay? So why use a real estate agent, right? Like what will a real estate company do for you? You know, it is a very convoluted process. Every year, every 2 months it seems, I'm handing my agents a new piece of paper that says, we need this form filled out now. And they're like, you're kidding me, why? Because somewhere, someplace, there was a lawsuit, and now we have a new piece of paper that needs to be signed. The real estate process has become much more complicated, all right? And you need a person to coordinate all the different things that have to happen. You know, time is money, yes. Time's life. You can't get it back. We've only got a finite amount of time, and stress kills. Weichert is here. We've got everything that you need, one stop when you buy a house. We have title insurance company. We have Weichert Financial Services. We've got Weichert Insurance Agency for your homeowner's insurance. We've got relocation services, moving services, locksmith services, so that when you move in you can change your locks. Let your agent coordinate that for you. Let your agent educate you about the local market that you're buying into. Let them negotiate for you, okay? You know, wherever we can, we try and negotiate our offers for our buyers face to face, okay? You guys are, our home is, for most people, the largest investment we'll ever make, right? I'm not a trust fund baby. I don't know if anybody is and wants to adopt me, I'm available. But, you know, in most cases, you're going to make an offer on a home. And you're gonna write up the contract, and the agent will walk over to the fax machine, take that offer, send it over to a listing agent that doesn't represent you, doesn't represent your best interests, and doesn't know you. Wherever we can get face-to-face with the seller to present an offer, that's what we do. Because we're selling not just your offer, but you. Right? You know, why you love the house, you want to raise the kids, the whole story of you and why you want to buy this house. Your agents will offer advice on the due diligence that you as buyers need to do, because there's only so much that we can do. There are things that you need to do yourself. And just manage all aspects. Make sure that everything is done when it needs to happen throughout the process. Okay? Last thing I want to let you know is that in the state of New Jersey, you are not required to use an attorney to complete a real estate transaction. It is standard practice in this area to use a real estate attorney. Most buyers and sellers do, I want to say 99%. I would strongly advise that you do. As I said, you're making what is probably the biggest investment that you'll ever make. Real estate attorneys are going to run you about $900 to $1,100 for the transaction, okay? It's very important that you use a local real estate attorney that knows the area, that knows the zoning regulations and things like that. That you use a real estate attorney, somebody whose practice is 80% or more real estate. You use a litigator, they're in court all day. If you use a litigator, they like to argue. They don't like to get deals done, okay? And please, do not use your brother's, cousin's, neighbor's, friend's divorce attorney up in North Jersey, because we will never be able to get them on the phone. They won't know locally what's going on. And whatever you think you're saving by using the guy that, you know, the friend's sister's aunt's manicurist knows, it'll end up costing you in the long run. And in some cases, it'll end up costing you the whole house. That's pretty much all I've got for you guys. So, questions? A lot of info?
Yes.
Yes? You guys learn anything new? I mean, a little bit. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff, but, you know, I think I said, I bought my first house in '87. When we sold, we were living in Southern California and had to move when the bottom really fell out of the market there. And I was 25 years old. I didn't know anything, you know? The real estate agent came in for Relo through my husband's company and said, you know, well, what do you need to get out of the house? And we're like, well, I don't know, like, you know, this is what we paid, so at least we need that. And she went, okay. And we put the house on the market, and 6 months later, we moved from Southern California to Arizona, where my husband's job went, and the house was still on the market and vacant. And 9 months later, we sold, and we lost $40,000. And we felt really lucky that it was our $40,000 to lose, right? You know, it was equity in the house. So jump forward 10, 12 years, I start selling real estate. And I was so angry because I should have lost $20,000. And we should have lost it in 4 months, not 9 months. But we didn't have an agent that educated us about what was going on in the market. And it really kind of informed the way I approached this. You know, you need all the information, that way you can make informed decisions. Good, bad, or neutral. So I hope that that's what this gave you. And go buy houses. Go buy houses.